Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive where we're going all the way to South Africa.
Sorry.
They've launched this new retirement system,
Yeah,
and let's just say it's making some waves.
it is.
Our source for this deep dive is a business tech article that shows that a massive 35 billion rand
Wow.
has been pulled out of these retirement funds since September 1st. Now, even if you're not in South Africa, stick with us, because this deep dive offers a really good look at financial trends, government policies, and how people react during tough economic times.
Yeah.
Are you ready to unravel this financial puzzle with me?
Absolutely, I am. It's interesting what's happening because South Africa's new system, which they're calling the two-pot system, is a direct response to a real pressing issue.
Right.
People struggling to access their retirement savings during unexpected financial hardships.
Okay. Let's break down this two-pot system for everyone listening.
Sure.
It sounds like it's shaking things up quite a bit.
It is. It really is. So
Yeah.
picture this. Your retirement savings are now divided into three separate pots. So first up, you've got the savings pot. This is the brand new one. It holds 1/3 of your total retirement savings. And here's the key. This pot is accessible before retirement, which is a big change for the old system.
Okay.
Then there's the retirement pot. That holds the remaining 2/3 of your savings and stays locked until you retire. And finally, you got the vested pot. This one holds all your savings that you had before August 31st, 2024. And it follows the old rules.
Got it. So this new savings pot is the real game changer, and it seems like people are really eager to tap into it.
Yeah, they are.
But before we get into that, can you explain, how do you access that savings pot?
Of course. So to tap into that savings pot, you need to have at least R2000 in a qualifying fund.
R2000. Got it.
That seems to be the magic number.
Now, let's talk about that crazy number from the article. R35 billion withdrawn since September 1st. What are your thoughts on this wave of withdrawals?
It's pretty remarkable. If you dig into the numbers, we see that over 2.15 million applications were submitted for withdrawals, with 1.9 million actually getting approved. That's what led to this massive R35 billion being withdrawn.
Wow, those numbers are really something. It seems though not all applications were approved.
Right.
What were some of the main reasons for those rejections?
The article points to a few things. Some rejections happened because of system errors within these fund management entities. Others were because of incorrect ID numbers or tax numbers submitted by the applicants. And then, of course, there were cases where people just didn't have that R2000 or they put the wrong codes when they were applying. Interestingly enough, a big chunk of rejections were actually because people changed their minds about withdrawing.
So it sounds like some people might have gotten cold feet at the last minute.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe the reality of taking money out of their retirement savings kind of hit them.
Possibly.
But before we get too much into the reasons why, I'm curious to know more about the role of the South African Revenue Service, or SARS, in all of this. They seem to be pretty involved.
They are definitely involved. The article emphasizes how active SARS has been in making these withdrawals happen, mainly through what they're calling tax directives. These directives basically tell retirement funds to release part of the savings, but also withhold the right amount of tax. And they've also got these online tools, like tax calculators, to help people understand the money side of taking out money.
And speaking of those tools, it's interesting that the online calculator on the SARS website has been used over 850,000 times, while the WhatsApp version has only been used around 53,000 times.
Right.
So that kind of suggests that people are really looking for information using these resources. But I imagine all this activity has also raised some red flags.
You're right, it has. The SARS Commissioner, Edward Kieswetter, has expressed concerns about potential criminal activity, specifically people giving false information to lower their tax burden on these withdrawals. The article says over 213,000 taxpayers have been flagged for possibly understating their income, which could lead to serious consequences.
So while this system is providing much-needed relief for some people, it's also creating challenges for authorities to make sure everyone's following the rules. But let's shift gears a little and try to understand why people are taking out this money. Why are so many people rushing to access their retirement funds? What's behind this massive exodus of savings?
Well, if you look at the current economic situation in South Africa, it seems pretty likely that these withdrawals are happening because of the financial difficulties many families are facing. People may be turning to their retirement savings as a last resort to deal with urgent needs.
That makes sense. When times are tough, people will often turn to whatever financial resources they can get their hands on, even if it means dipping into funds that were meant for their future.
Exactly.
But this raises another big question. How exactly are people using this money that they're withdrawing? Do we have any insight into that?
Well, we don't have concrete data on exactly how people are spending the money, but Old Mutual, a leading financial services firm, has given some estimates, they believe, that a significant portion, around 60%, is going towards paying off debt. After that, they estimate 23% is going to emergencies and 4% to medical expenses.
That paints a rather sobering picture of the financial realities that many South Africans are facing. It's not just numbers. It's about real people dealing with real life challenges and making really difficult choices. It also underscores the importance of understanding the tax implications of these withdrawals, which you mentioned before. Can you talk a little more about that for our listeners?
Sure. It's important to remember that any money taken out of the savings pot is taxed. It's taxed at the individual's marginal tax rate, which can range from 18% to 45%, depending on their income level.
So in a way, the government also benefits from this wave of withdrawals, although maybe not intentionally. However, as we've discussed, there are concerns about potential tax evasion and the long-term effects of using up retirement savings. It seems this new system
has created a complex web of interconnected issues that we need to sort out.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating and multifaceted situation with implications that reach far beyond just the immediate financial impact. It raises questions about financial literacy, government policy, and the tricky balance between what individuals need and the well-being of society as a whole. It really does.
Exactly. And speaking of choices, you mentioned that a whopping 60% of those withdrawals are estimated to be going towards debt repayment. That's a pretty significant chunk. And it raises some concerns about the overall financial health of South African households. What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely a concern. While we don't have the specifics on the types of debt people are struggling with, it's probably safe to assume that a lot of it is
high-interest consumer debt.
Right.
So this means that even though they're getting some immediate relief by paying it down, they're also losing out on the potential growth of their retirement savings, which could have had much lower interest rates.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. They're addressing a pressing problem now, but potentially creating an even bigger one down the line. So you're trading their future financial security for present peace of mind.
That's a good way to put it. And it really underlines the importance of financial literacy and planning. If people had a better grasp of things like compound interest and the long-term impact of debt, they might think twice about touching their retirement savings.
That makes sense. But let's be realistic. Financial literacy takes time and effort. And people are facing these immediate pressures right now. What can be done in the short term to kind of mitigate the potential negative consequences of these withdrawals?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is the role of financial advisors. They can really help individuals assess their own situation, explore other options, and make informed decisions that balance their short-term needs with their long-term goals.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, right? Addressing those urgent needs without completely derailing their future financial stability.
Exactly. And I think this also points to the importance of government policies that support financial well-being. Things like access to affordable credit, debt management programs, and even financial counseling services. These can make a big difference.
It's about creating a safety net that prevents people from falling into a financial abyss, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it's not just about the government stepping in. I think the private sector has a role to play too. For example, employers could offer financial wellness programs to their employees, providing education, resources, and support to help them make sound financial decisions.
It's a collaborative effort. Everyone needs to be on board, from individuals to institutions, to create a system that promotes financial resilience and security.
I totally agree. And that brings us back to this idea of financial literacy. It's not just about understanding these complex financial products or strategies. It's about developing a healthy relationship with money and making choices that align with your values and goals.
It's about being mindful of your spending habits, prioritizing saving, and making smart decisions about debt. And most importantly, it's about understanding that financial well-being is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, but with the right knowledge and support, you can navigate those challenges and build a more secure future for yourself.
Well said. And that's a message that resonates.
Yeah.
Not just in South Africa,
yeah.
but all over the world. We're all facing economic